Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and this video is going to be on the two biggest keto myths out there. These are 1000% the two biggest keto myths, and if you understand these, you will have a very good grasp of the keto diet. So, what are the two biggest myths? The two biggest myths are, number one, you need to have very high fat to be in ketosis. And number two, you need to have very low protein to be in ketosis. So, a lot of my other videos will talk about this, but here's the gist. You probably are familiar with the first one. You need to have really high fats. If you're newer to ketosis, this probably will come as a surprise to you because all the marketing companies and everybody will tell you, oh, you need to have really high fat, buy this oil, okay? So with a lot of keto products, there are great ones out there, but this one is very common to selling products, okay, selling more fats for you to eat. So instead of you eating, grass-fed butter or something, you eat, this powder to put in my coffee, right? I've used some powders in the coffee, some sweeteners and stuff, and they're great, but you get the gist. So you had to be careful and pick the right keto supplements, but too many fats on keto is not necessarily a problem. It's just simply that the requirement to get into ketosis is 0 carbs, not high fat. Because I know some people who, they'll come to me and say, oh no, I was eating so many fats and I still didn't think I was in ketosis. Okay, well here's the deal. It's not about the fats, it's about the carbs. The carbs are the most important thing, more important than the fats. So cutting out the carbs means this is the doorway, the entry, the buy-in to ketosis. You have to drop the carbs. And from there, the amount of fats you have is going to deepen ketosis if you have more. It's just that you don't need to get into deeper ketosis. You will still be in ketosis even if you're at 60% fat and you're not at the magical 80% fat ratio, okay? As long as you're not eating carbs, as long as that is 5% of your calories or so, you are going to be in ketosis. So if you're somebody who is eating 60% fat, you don't need to worry about ketosis being a problem unless you're eating more than 5% carb. So for the protein, this also ties hand in hand with the fat, because if you're eating 60% fat, that means that your protein will probably be around 40%, right? Ideally, 35 to 40%. And if you're eating 35 to 40% protein, that means that you're eating 60% fat. So if you're eating 60% fat, you can only be in as deep of ketosis as 60% fat will allow, given your body. So hopefully I can play this out a little more for you. The sole determiner of how deep you are in ketosis is generally going to be the fat ratio after you've cut out the carbs. So number one, cut out the carbs. Number two, your fats are going to determine how deep you are in ketosis. Now, you don't need to be in deep ketosis. It doesn't mean more fat loss. It does mean you'll feel better, and you certainly can get adequate amounts of protein with 20% protein if you wanted. It's just that 20% protein and 80% fat was made for epileptic children in the 20s and 30s. So they needed to have really high ketones to prevent seizures. So if you're somebody with very serious conditions and you need high ketones, then do 80% fat, 20% protein. But the point is, if you go 70% fat and 30% protein, neither the higher protein nor the lowered fat is going to mess with your ketosis. Okay, so I'll repeat that. The lowered fat is not going to ruin ketosis, and nor will the increased protein. It's simply that the person who's doing 70-30 is not going to be in as deep of ketosis as the 80-20. Understand? So more fat in the diet equals more ketones. And more fats means lower protein just simply because it's a percentage of your calories. Now, the whole issue of being in deeper ketosis, like I said, is simply a preference. You will feel better. It doesn't mean more fat loss, it just means you're getting more ketones that are coming from your food because you're eating more fats. If you're doing this for bodybuilding purposes or fitness purposes, you don't need to worry about getting a little bit higher protein. 30% protein is fine, and in fact, I feel great on 70-30 macros. Some people are great on 60-40. Some people only want to do 80-20. The point is you have to experience this and see how you feel at different levels of fat. And there's no magical ratio. There's no, oh, your protein's too high, oh, your fats are too low. Your fats could be too low if you're somebody who has sensitive hormones and you're a woman and you're going 50% fat and 40 to 50% fat, 50% protein is probably too low for most women, but nobody really does that. I've never seen a woman who had problems anything over 60%. 60% or over, I've never seen a woman have hormonal problems. But below that, yeah, there could be too much fat or not enough fat. For men, maybe they're too tired if they have 50% fat. So it's easier for marketing companies to market things as, oh, this is a high fat diet, just so people, it's like a liability cover, okay? So when it comes to understanding keto and whether or not you have to hit a magical ratio of fats to proteins, there's no magical ratio, but you'll probably figure out a ratio that you like best based on how you feel. So literally think, yeah, I feel pretty good today. I wasn't too hungry today. I felt focused. All that good stuff. That is what you need to assess after trying different ratios. So overall, the two biggest myths are that they're basically the same myth. It's just that I'm explaining two sides of the same coin. Too much fat is not a problem, but you don't have to be compulsed to have too much fat. You don't have to have too much fat. Too little protein can be an issue, but you don't need to force low protein. You don't need to force low protein. You don't need to force high fat. Simply cut out the carbs, and that is the whole coin. The whole coin is cut out the carbs, and from there, play with whatever macros you like. See what you like better. So that's the video. These are the two biggest keto myths. They're basically the same keto myth, but like I said, they're two sides of the same coin. So if you want to learn more about the ketogenic diet, I have plenty of videos on it. I also have a free keto plan, meal plan, and training plan in the description, and a free keto contest for 60 days, basically a transformation contest, bulk cut, whatever it is. Basically, you can win some stuff, you can enter for free. I'm giving out some ketones and some other training personalized plans. So if you're interested, I'm giving you the tools to make it happen. And besides that, leave me a question. I will answer you. I answer all the comments. And subscribe, click the notification bell. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.